wanted to talk a bit about a project that I've been working on at the beginning of the year. Gosh, I should go further back, I think. So there's I don't know what to call her, a blogger, an author, a person who runs courses named Rachel Jones, and she does the Practical Simplicity. She has a website, Practical Simplicity. And I've been a fan of hers for a while, years now, actually. Sometimes reading the blog, and I get the newsletters, and I really feel like she's really down to earth as far as minimalism goes, which minimalism appeals to me, but kind of my own brand of minimalism. I need life to be manageable. I very much see the value in there being less to take care of. But what I don't get caught up in is minimalism for minimalism's sake, if you know what I mean, where people just trying to live with as little as humanly possible, just for kind of the I don't know, I don't know what to call it. I know what I mean in my head. Just for the challenge, as an exercise of, and I think there's a lot that can come from that. That's just not a place that I'm at in my life. I want to have the things that I have around me be things that I love and that my family benefits from. And also, and this is a key one for me, if it's worth keeping, the mindset that I want to have myself and that I want my kids to, that I want my kids to learn, is that if it's worth having, it's worth taking care of. And just by default, you can't have more things than you can take care of if you're going to, if that's the way you're going to live. You can't have a ton of stuff because you can't take care of it. And there's something that to me feels very right about that. If it's worth keeping, it's worth taking care of. So that's kind of my take. And I want the things in our house to bring us joy and to make our lives better, not make them harder and more difficult. So years ago, I think probably 2017, which was around the time I first discovered Rachel. She has these lists that you can print out. It's a chart for the year, and she had this challenge going of, 2017 and 2017, and the goal was to get rid of 2017 items from your home. And there was a chart that you could mark off the items to keep track. So I thought that was a great idea, and I printed it out. And that year, I got rid of all of those items. I did 2017 before the year was out. I took a picture of the chart and then recycled it and put up a new chart. Now she puts out a new one of these every year, but I finished up early before the year ended, and I sat with white out and adjusted it so that the date was 2018 instead, and added my extra little box. So then in the following 2 years, I printed out the chart each year. So with that year, in 2017, I started really getting on top of our house in a way that I hadn't in the past. And it was really liberating and encouraging. I felt like I was finally getting somewhere, getting to where I wanted to be. And that was great. But then what happened was the following year, I did print out the chart and I did get rid of some things. but it was a really rough year. It was a really rough year family-wise. It was a really rough year health-wise, and the same with 2019. So I had been seeing fabulous progress. I had been seeing things getting to where I wanted them to, and then sickness really hit, and life hit, and everything went backwards. And there were kind of some things that happened too that led to a lot of influx of things into the house. We had a homeschooling co-op that had a building that we rented, and we had a lot of materials there, a lot of school materials, a lot of books, a lot of craft materials, all sorts of things, office supplies. And the building, we no longer use the building. It was the owners decided to use it for something else. So we had to clear everything out, and we had 4 rooms worth of stuff. We weren't sure if we were going to rent another building next. We brought home a lot of stuff. Just all to say, we brought home a lot of stuff. Some of it was to keep, some of it was to hold on to, in case we set up another space. A lot of stuff. So just things like that happened that were kind of setbacks, and that one was it was such an emotional moment because we were really just not sure where this co-op that was a huge part of our lives was going. If it was going to be the end, if it was going to continue in a different form. We had no idea. So we were all kind of grieving, to be honest, and it just wasn't the moment. There wasn't time to question each object before it was packed into a box and brought home. And I came home with 8 or 9 boxes, like big boxes of stuff. And so things like that. So going into 2020, my health was quite poor. I was feeling really, really, really frustrated and really buried under, and really like I just needed some help. So I saw that Rachel was offering the Practical Simplicity Nourishing Minimalism course, and I thought that just maybe I didn't even know where to start. Honestly, I didn't know where to start. Didn't have the energy to figure out where to start, because it takes a lot of energy to make decisions, to make plans, by the time that's done, there's no energy left for the cleaning. At least how I've been feeling. So Steve and I talked about it, and we decided to sign up for the course, which is an investment money-wise, and one that I don't think, I never in the past felt like that was money that I could reasonably spend, but things were just so desperate here and was feeling so hopeless that I needed something to change. Right now, I think that she's got openings for a class that starts maybe soon. I think it starts this month. And I think that the class is actually on sale at like a bargain price right now. So if anyone's interested, that's out there. Anyhow, the course has been helpful. It really has. It's been very helpful. There's the format's there's a video at the beginning of the week, and then there's one each day with kind of a little lesson and a thing to do for the day. It might be cleaning out your paper clutter from the kitchen, and it focuses on one room at a time, and at the same time also focuses on building routines over the course of a month, building a certain set of routines, and then they get added onto later on. So we started in January. The first room is the kitchen. I'm not done. It was supposed to be done ages ago, and I'm not done. And it needs to be okay, but I'm disappointed. We started off great and continued on all right, but it's sickness. It's just been, I have not been well at all this year. And I am recording this on March 1st. And I am so tired. I am so tired all the time. There's just not words for how tired I am. And this is something that has come up with some other people I know who are chronically ill, this feeling like beating yourself up, thinking, you know, how lazy you are because you can't get stuff done, and then having a period of time where you feel better, and suddenly, you know, you're up and around and doing all sorts of stuff, and it's like, oh, actually, it's just that I was really, really sick. So I've been in that really, really sick place, and so in the up times, I'm trying to get stuff done, and keeping up with routines has been really hard. So one of the things I feel like when I started towards minimalism and getting rid of a lot of stuff and all of that, I think that was such a great step and it was so helpful. But I also feel like having done that before and having it kind of reverted on myself, where we went back to chaos, I kind of have been trying to examine what went wrong. I mean, apart from bringing stuff into the house, obviously that's a part. But there are other areas where things went wrong and why it wasn't a lasting change. And so one of the things I think is routines. And so that's something I really need to focus on. But that's the hardest of all of the things for a chronically ill person because you slip one day and you're behind. And for me, I might slip for a week, easily. And I might not even be well enough to kind of stand on top of the other members of the household and try to get them to pick up the slack. So that's one of the downfalls. That's one of the places where I definitely struggle and where I just also have to find kind of a balance between what's possible and what's ideal. So that's one of the things. Also, I kind of, for many, many years now, have been in this mindset. One of the things that Rachel says, which I appreciate and have found to be true for the most part, is that organization-wise, if you get rid of all the extra stuff, the organization kind of just takes care of itself. And I have found that to be true a lot of times, absolutely. And I also kind of have bought into like the reverse mentality of what society and all the ads and everything tell you, where, you know, if you buy this thing, you can organize everything perfectly. If you buy, you know, go to Target or the Container Store or whatever and buy all of these organizers, that's how to be organized. And so I kind of years ago rebelled against that thought. All of that stuff, no, you don't need that. You just need less stuff. You need to take care of it better. You need, you know. And I think right now what I'm finding is that I need, again, a middle of the road path on that. Because while it is true that when I got rid of a bunch of stuff, the organization kind of worked out itself most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. What is also true is that while I got down to this small amount of stuff and I know where I want to keep it, getting the other 6 members of my family and household to follow through and keeping it in the right place might need some extra help. So the thing that I found, I've been reading organization books like mad, in part to get myself motivated. A lot of times they don't really have anything to add to what I already know, but it kind of just is a way to keep it in the forefront of my mind. So I've looked through a lot of them. I've read a lot of them. I've discarded a lot of them. Well, they're all from the library, but I mean, metaphorically speaking, put them aside as not being helpful to me. Frankly, anything that has an entire chapter devoted to, your entertaining closet is probably not going to apply to my life. It's just not. It's not. We're not living in the same. We're not on the same track. But one that I found that for whatever reason for me made a lot of sense. It's called the Home Edit, and it's mostly, so there's a chapter or two in the beginning and a bit at the end, but it's mostly just looking at rooms and how they were organized, looking at this closet, looking at this drawer, and how they were organized with pictures and ideas put out there. So they call it kind of like a recipe book for organization. And the core principles, I think are going to be helpful. I guess we'll see. We're going to have to wait and see. But I'm trying to apply them. And I think one of the things that was lacking that kept follow through, especially from, other people who aren't in my head and don't know what I was thinking, what in my head that, the blue thing here and the, peeler there and the, like I can see it in my head the way I want it the drawer to be, but nobody else knows that. So the idea of putting like items together in a container, like containers are suddenly a big thing for me is when they weren't before, not necessarily whole organizational systems, but kind of corralling similar items together. And labels. I'm all about labels. I got a paint pen, I'm writing on everything. And those are the 2 things from that book that I really took away as being potentially helpful for upkeep. So those are the things I'm trying to institute now with all of this. As far as the course goes and my progress goes, I'm almost done with the kitchen. At the beginning, I mapped out goals. At this point, I should have been done the kitchen, done the living room, and just about done the master bedroom. So I'm behind. I only have a couple little things left to do in the kitchen, but I've been so wiped out the last couple of weeks that I just have not been able to do them. One of the other things with that, though, also is that we kind of decided one of the things, there were a bunch of updates and things that needed to happen in the kitchen that weren't happening, in part because it was such a mess all the time and we were just we couldn't even keep up with that. So with this work happening now, there's also we took the time when I emptied out the pantry, there was a shelf in the pantry that needed to be sanded and finished, and so that happened. We actually built a couple of things. Ian built for me a couple of things to organize the pantry. Right now, the kitchen's being painted. We pulled. There was enough space. Finally, it's been needing a new coat of paint since we moved in, and that was 8 years ago. So it was time. So there have been things like that, the finally fixing the broken drawer and finally fixing and really making sure things felt done in there. So that's part of what's added to the time as well. And I think there might be less of that in other rooms, though I'm not sure. Once I get in there, I'll probably change my mind on that. So that's one of the things that's been holding us up. So the course, as you go through it, you check off what you've done on the thing and it tells you how far along you are. So we're 38.27% done the course, and actually had additional plans for after that. There's been an amazing turnaround in a lot of it. I'm really glad for the work that we've done. I'm trying to boost myself back up and concentrate on what we have accomplished, what I have accomplished as well, and trying to kind of get myself going to get done and move on and not just stagnate and let all of that work go to waste. So that's where I'm at with that. Hopefully I'm going to have an update. When it's all done, I'm going to do a tour. I'm going to do a tour of the kitchen, and then hopefully the next room and the next room and the next room after that, and give you an idea of what is working for us and what is not, and also just because I like home tours. So maybe you do too. So as far as my other things, accomplishments, so that's the chart. This is this year's chart that I talked about in the beginning for as you get rid of stuff, you mark it off. And we are, what are we at? I don't know. So we're getting close. So each section is 101 things. And then at the end of each section, you're supposed to do something to kind of celebrate having met that mark. So we've met that mark 5 times now, getting on towards the 6th time. And that's actually something also that I do a little differently. So like Rachel encourages you to have like, a little treat, have a nice dinner or something like that. I kind of do things a little backwards sometimes because I sometimes buy things is what I'm saying to celebrate getting rid of things. Doesn't make sense on the surface, but when I explain, I think it will. So what I mean is, for me, the whole goal of minimalism and of just all of this work is to have a house that suits us as much as humanly possible, that is as personalized for us, a house that's beautiful, that's peaceful, that's just nourishing for us to live in, to be in. And we're here a lot. It's a big deal for us. We're in our home more than most people because we have one person who works from home. We have, homeschooled kids. We're here a lot. As a chronically ill person, there are long periods of time that I don't leave the house. So it is especially important, I feel like, to our family. So that's always my goal, is to kind of be improving the house. So when I say I buy things, like it might be like one time I got rid of 20 scuzzy potholders that were just falling apart, not in good shape. And I bought a really nice set of gloves that came down low on the arms, so that for the kids the younger kids who want to cook and help in the kitchen, and I wanted to make sure that they were protected from burns. So it was just a better option, but I got rid of a lot of stuff. And yes, I did buy something new, or like replacing the scrubby brushes with newer ones, if they're getting scuzzy. So what I do for a reward tends to be home-based. It's not like just a little treat for me or something like that, or the family or something like that. It tends to be something that will make the house better. Finally, replacing something that needs to be replaced, or taking a break from decluttering to work on a little project for the house that I want to work on, or something like that. For that. So that's what I've been doing, and what all of these have been mostly organizing things for the kitchen this time around. This year it's been a silverware divider and things like that. And that's what works for me, so that it's kind of all always working towards the same goal, and I like that. So that's where I am at. Wish me luck. Wish me energy. I'm so tired. Wish me luck. I am going to try. New goal, possibly realistic goal, is to get the kitchen finished this week. So the gentleman painting it, my sons, word to the wise teenage boys out there, teenage girls out there, choose your jobs wisely because your parents will, take advantage of them. So I have two sons that have painted houses for years now, and guess what? I used to paint rooms. I don't paint anymore. I tell them, hey, you know what you're doing. You go do it. So I'm hoping the painting will be done this week. So I need to get in there, do those last few things so that it really feels done to me. And then I will try to try to give a tour and move on to the living room. This room that I'm sitting in, this is the living room. Wish me luck. And if you have any tips or ideas, organizational things that really helped for you, or thought processes that help you through, please share them. Leave a comment, send me an email. I would love to hear from you. All the best.